Haspi each biggie amis. You know what I realized the other day? I was scrolling through my phone at 2 in the morning, and I caught myself doing something absolutely ridiculous. I was checking his social media. Again, for probably the 15th time that week. And suddenly, I just stopped. I put the phone down, looked at myself in the mirror, and I asked myself this question: when was the last time you gave yourself even half the attention you're giving to someone who doesn't even think about you? That question hit me like a freight train, because the truth is we spend so much of our lives pouring our energy into people who don't deserve it. We obsess over text messages that never come. We analyze conversations that didn't mean anything. We create entire movies in our heads about people who barely give us a scene in theirs. And while we're doing all of that, while we're spending hours wondering why he hasn't called, why he didn't text back, why he seems interested one day and distant the next, we're forgetting the most important person in our story. We're forgetting ourselves. I want to talk to you today about something that changed my entire life. It's about taking back your power. It's about redirecting all that incredible energy you've been wasting on someone else and turning it inward. It's about understanding that you are the main character of your own life, and it's time you started acting like it. This isn't just about relationships. This is about your career, your dreams, your peace of mind, your future. This is about recognizing that every single moment you spend fixated on someone who isn't fixated on you is a moment stolen from your own greatness. Let me tell you a story. There was this woman, incredibly talented, brilliant mind, beautiful soul. She had dreams bigger than the sky. She wanted to start her own business, write a book, travel the world, build something meaningful. But she was stuck. Not because she didn't have the skills, not because she didn't have the resources. She was stuck because she was in love with someone who was giving her just enough attention to keep her hooked, but not enough to actually commit. You know that type. The ones who text you at midnight but can't make plans for Saturday. The ones who tell you you're amazing but somehow never have time to see you. The ones who keep you in this perpetual state of maybe. This woman would wake up every morning, and the first thing she'd do is check her phone. Did he text? Did he call? Did he like her photo? And if he did, her whole day would light up. She'd feel validated, worthy, seen. But if he didn't, the entire day would crumble. She'd be distracted at work, unmotivated, questioning herself, wondering what she did wrong, replaying every conversation, analyzing every word. She'd cancel plans with her friends to be available just in case he wanted to see her. She'd put off working on her business plan because she couldn't focus. She'd skip the gym because she felt too drained. Her entire existence had become about him. And here's the devastating part. He had no idea. He was living his life, completely oblivious to the emotional hurricane he was creating in hers. He was focused on his career, his hobbies, his friends, his goals. Meanwhile, she had made him her entire world while she was just a small part of his. One day, after months of this exhausting cycle, she had a breakdown. She was sitting in her apartment crying, feeling completely depleted, and her best friend came over. And her friend said something that changed everything. She said, "Imagine if you took all the energy you've been giving him and gave it to yourself instead. Imagine where you'd be in 6 months. In a year. Imagine who you'd become." That question created a shift, a massive, earth-shattering shift, because she started to think about it. Really think about it. All those hours spent overthinking text messages, what if she spent them building her business? All that emotional energy spent wondering if he liked her. What if she channeled it into learning new skills? All those nights lying awake analyzing his behavior. What if she used that time to read, to create, to grow? So she made a decision, a radical, life-changing decision. She decided to go cold turkey. She stopped checking his social media. She stopped initiating conversations. She stopped being available every single time he decided to show up. And most importantly, she started giving herself all the attention she had been giving him. At first, it was incredibly difficult. She'd reach for her phone out of habit. She'd feel anxious, like something was missing. She'd wonder what he was doing, if he noticed her absence, if he cared. But every time she felt that pull, she'd redirect. She'd open her laptop and work on her business plan instead. She'd go for a run, she'd call a friend, she'd journal, she'd do anything except fall back into that black hole of obsession. And something incredible started happening. Within weeks, she noticed changes. She had more energy. Her mind felt clearer. She was sleeping better. She was more productive at work. She started hitting the gym consistently and her body transformed. She enrolled in an online course she'd been putting off. She reconnected with old friends. She started working on her book. She began to remember who she was before she made him the center of her universe. 3 months later, her business was launched. 6 months later, she had her first major client. A year later, she was featured in a magazine for her work. She had traveled to 3 new countries. She had completed a marathon. She had written half of her book. She looked in the mirror and barely recognized herself. Not because she looked different, although she did, she was glowing, but because her energy was completely transformed. She carried herself differently. She spoke with confidence. She knew her worth. And you want to know the funny part? He reached out. Of course he did, because that's what happens when you stop chasing and start choosing yourself. He noticed the shift. He saw her thriving. He saw her happy, successful, glowing, living her best life without him. And suddenly, he was interested again. Suddenly, he had time. Suddenly, he wanted to be part of her world. But by then, she had evolved. She had done the work. She had invested in herself. She had discovered what happens when you stop giving your power away and start building your empire instead. And when he reached out, she felt nothing. Not anger, not bitterness, not even satisfaction, just indifference. Because she had moved so far beyond that chapter that going back felt like trying to fit into clothes from middle school. Sure, they might technically fit, but why would you want to wear them when you have an entire wardrobe of custom-made designer pieces? This is what I want you to understand today. That person you're obsessing over, that person who's occupying space in your mind rent-free, they're not worth it. And I don't say that to be harsh. I say that because your energy is precious. Your time is finite. Your attention is valuable. And when you give it away to people who don't reciprocate, who don't appreciate it, who don't deserve it, you're committing robbery against yourself. Think about it this way. Imagine your energy is currency. You have a limited amount of it each day. Now, you can spend it on someone who gives you nothing in return, who leaves you feeling drained, confused, and undervalued. Or you can invest it in yourself, in your growth, in your dreams, in your peace. Which investment do you think is going to give you returns? Which one is going to compound over time and create the life you actually want? I learned this lesson the hard way. There was a time in my life when I was so focused on being chosen, on being picked, on being validated by others that I forgot to choose myself. I would bend over backwards for people who wouldn't even lean forward for me. I would rearrange my entire schedule to accommodate others while my own priorities sat on the back burner. I would lose sleep worrying about what someone thought of me while they probably weren't thinking of me at all. And you know what all of that got me? Exhaustion, anxiety, a sense of unworthiness. Because when you constantly seek validation outside yourself, you're essentially telling yourself that your opinion of you doesn't matter. You're saying that someone else's approval is more important than your own. You're giving away your power and wondering why you feel so powerless. The shift happened when I started asking myself different questions. Instead of, does he like me? I started asking, do I like myself? Instead of, why hasn't he called? I started asking, what do I want to create today? Instead of, how can I get his attention? I started asking, how can I invest in my growth? And those new questions led to completely different actions, which led to completely different results, which led to a completely different life. Here's something nobody tells you about self-investment. It's not selfish. It's not narcissistic. It's not shallow. It's actually the most generous thing you can do, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. Because when you're operating from a place of fullness, when you've done the work on yourself, when you're confident, secure, and whole, you show up differently in every area of your life. You're a better friend because you're not needy. You're a better colleague because you're focused. You're a better partner when you eventually find the right person, because you're not looking for someone to complete you. You're already complete. You're just looking for someone to complement your already amazing life. But so many of us have it backwards. We think we need someone else to make us happy, to make us feel worthy, to make us feel complete. So we chase that feeling. We pursue people who aren't pursuing us. We try to convince people of our value instead of just embodying it. We perform, we prove, we bend, we shrink, we dim our light, hoping that maybe, just maybe, it'll make us more appealing. And here's the tragic irony. The more you chase, the less attractive you become. Not physically. I'm not talking about looks. I'm talking about energetically. There's nothing attractive about desperation. There's nothing magnetic about neediness. But confidence, self-assurance, a person who knows their worth and isn't negotiating it, that's irresistible. That's powerful. That's the energy that actually draws people in. Let me share another story with you. I have a friend who's a highly successful entrepreneur. She runs multiple businesses. She's financially independent. She's traveled the world. She's achieved things most people only dream about. But for years, she had this pattern in relationships. She'd meet someone, fall hard, and then completely lose herself. She'd stop working out. She'd neglect her businesses. She'd cancel important meetings to be available for dates. She'd compromise her values, her boundaries, her standards, all in the name of making the relationship work. And every single time the relationship would fall apart, the guy would lose interest, pull away, or reveal that he was intimidated by her success. And she'd be left devastated, having to rebuild herself from scratch, having to reignite her businesses, having to remember who she was before she lost herself in someone else. This cycle repeated itself 3, 4, 5 times, until one day she made a vow. She said, "Never again. Never again will I shrink myself for someone else. Never again will I put my goals on pause for a relationship. Never again will I make someone else more important than I make myself." And she meant it. The next person she dated, she showed up completely differently. She didn't cancel important work commitments. She maintained her gym routine. She kept her boundaries firm. She continued investing in her personal growth. She made it clear from the beginning that she was building an empire, and if someone wanted to be in her life, they needed to either support that vision or get out of the way. And you know what happened? For the first time in her life, the relationship actually worked, because she attracted someone who was equally ambitious, equally self-directed, equally committed to growth. Someone who wasn't intimidated by her success, but inspired by it. Someone who didn't need her to be smaller so he could feel bigger. They built something together while also maintaining their individual identities, their individual goals, their individual paths. That's the relationship that's meant for you. Not the one where you have to dim your light. Not the one where you have to beg for attention. Not the one where you're constantly wondering if you're enough. The right relationship enhances your life. It doesn't consume it. The right person encourages your growth. They don't hinder it. The right partner celebrates your success. They don't compete with it. But you're never going to attract that person, that relationship, that energy if you're still operating from a place of lack. If you're still trying to get someone who's clearly not interested to notice you, if you're still giving your power away to people who don't value it, I want you to do something right now. Take a mental inventory of your week. How much time did you spend thinking about someone who's not thinking about you? How much energy did you waste analyzing situations with people who probably aren't analyzing anything? How many times did you check your phone hoping for a message that didn't come? How many hours did you lose to overthinking, overanalyzing, over-investing in someone who's under-investing in you? Now imagine you had all of that time and energy back. What would you do with it? Would you finally start that project you've been putting off? Would you learn that skill you've been talking about? Would you write that book, start that business, learn that language, get in shape, pursue that dream? The reality is, you do have that time and energy. You're just choosing to spend it in the wrong place. And I get it. I understand the pull. When you like someone, when you're attracted to someone, when you're hoping for something to develop, it's easy to get caught up. It's easy to make them the main character in your movie. But here's what I need you to understand. They already have their own movie, and in their movie, they're the main character. And unless they're actively choosing you, unless they're consistently showing up, unless they're investing in you the way you're investing in them, you're just a supporting character at best, maybe even just an extra. But in your movie, in your life, you're supposed to be the star. You're supposed to be the hero. You're supposed to be the one on the journey, facing challenges, achieving victories, transforming, growing, evolving. And you can't do that if you're too busy playing a minor role in someone else's story. So here's what I'm challenging you to do. For the next 30 days, I want you to go on a mental diet. I want you to stop feeding your mind with thoughts of him. Every time you catch yourself thinking about him, I want you to redirect. Consciously, deliberately redirect that thought to yourself, to your goals, to your dreams, to your growth. Every time you want to check his social media, I want you to do something for yourself instead. Read a page of a book. Do 10 push-ups. Journal 1 paragraph about your goals. Meditate for 5 minutes. Do something, anything that invests in you instead of him. Every time you want to text him, text yourself instead. Send yourself voice notes about your dreams. Write yourself messages about what you're grateful for in your life. Remind yourself of your accomplishments, your strengths, your value, and watch what happens. Watch how your energy shifts. Watch how your focus sharpens. Watch how your life starts moving in the direction you actually want it to go. Because here's the secret that successful people understand. Your attention is your most valuable resource. Whatever you focus on expands. If you focus on your inadequacy, it expands. If you focus on rejection, it expands. If you focus on why someone doesn't want you, that feeling expands. But if you focus on your potential, that expands. If you focus on your goals, they expand. If you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, that version expands. I think about some of the most successful people in the world. Do you think they got where they are by obsessing over romantic relationships? Do you think they spent hours analyzing text messages? Do you think they put their dreams on hold to wait around for someone who couldn't make up their mind? Absolutely not. They understood that their time was valuable. They understood that their energy was precious. They understood that every moment spent on distraction was a moment not spent on their mission. Now, I'm not saying relationships aren't important. I'm not saying love doesn't matter. I'm not suggesting you become some cold, emotionless robot who only cares about achievement. That's not the message at all. Love is beautiful. Connection is essential. Relationships can be one of the most fulfilling parts of life. But the key word there is can be. They can be fulfilling when they're with the right person, at the right time, in the right way. But they can also be destructive when you're forcing something that isn't meant to be, when you're settling for crumbs, when you deserve the whole meal, when you're accepting inconsistency, when you deserve unwavering commitment. And that's what this is really about. It's about standards. It's about boundaries. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to negotiate it. It's about understanding that you'd rather be alone and thriving than partnered and diminishing. It's about recognizing that the right person for you won't make you question your value. They won't make you feel like you're too much or not enough. They won't keep you in a state of confusion and anxiety. The right person will be clear, consistent, and committed. But you know what? You can't recognize the right person if you're still entertaining the wrong ones. You can't attract healthy love if you're still accepting toxic attention. You can't step into the relationship you deserve if you're still holding on to the one that's hurting you. There's this concept in economics called opportunity cost. It means that choosing one thing means giving up another. When you choose to spend your Friday night waiting around for someone who might text you, you're giving up the opportunity to go out with friends who definitely want to see you. When you choose to obsess over someone who's not interested, you're giving up the opportunity to notice someone who is. When you choose to stay stuck in a situationship that's going nowhere, you're giving up the opportunity to find a real relationship that's going somewhere. Every moment you spend on the wrong person is a moment you could be spending on yourself or on finding the right person. And that's a cost you can't afford anymore. I want to tell you about something I call the mirror principle. It's simple but profound. People treat you the way you treat yourself. If you tolerate disrespect, you'll get more disrespect. If you accept inconsistency, you'll get more inconsistency. If you allow someone to treat you like an option, you'll continue to be treated like an option. But if you respect yourself, if you honor yourself, if you treat yourself like a priority, other people will start doing the same. Not everyone, the wrong people will probably fall away, but the right people will step up. Think about it. Have you ever noticed that confident people seem to have better relationships? It's not because they're luckier. It's because they set a different standard. They communicate their worth through their actions, through their boundaries, through their choices. They don't chase because they don't need to. They know that the right person will recognize their value without a sales pitch. And that's the energy I want you to step into. The energy of someone who knows they're a catch. The energy of someone who understands that any person would be lucky to be with them. The energy of someone who's not desperate, not needy, not lacking, but whole, complete, and abundant. Now, some of you might be thinking, but what if I'm not there yet? What if I don't feel confident? What if I don't feel like I'm enough? And that's exactly my point. That's exactly why you need to stop giving your energy to someone else and start giving it to yourself. Because confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. And you build it through action, through achievement, through keeping promises to yourself, through setting goals and reaching them, through developing skills and mastering them, through taking care of your body, your mind, your spirit. Every time you go to the gym when you don't feel like it, you build confidence. Every time you complete a project, you build confidence. Every time you learn something new, you build confidence. Every time you honor a boundary, you build confidence. Every time you choose yourself over someone who's not choosing you, you build confidence. Confidence isn't about thinking you're better than everyone else. It's about knowing your value and refusing to settle for less than what you deserve. It's about recognizing that you have something unique to offer the world and deciding to invest in developing that gift instead of trying to convince someone to appreciate it. Let me ask you something. If you had 1 year to transform your life and the rule was that you couldn't date, couldn't pursue any romantic relationships, you could only focus on yourself, what would you do? Would you start a business? Would you get in the best shape of your life? Would you travel? Would you write? Would you learn new skills? Would you build deeper friendships? Would you work on healing old wounds? Would you pursue your passions? Now, here's the real question. What's stopping you from doing those things right now? And if the answer is that you're too focused on someone else, isn't it time to change that? I was reading about this concept called the zone of genius. It's this idea that everyone has certain activities, certain pursuits where they excel, where time seems to fly, where they feel most alive and most themselves. For some people, it's creating art. For others, it's solving problems. For others, it's connecting with people or building things or teaching or performing. Your zone of genius is where your greatest talent meets your greatest passion. But here's the thing. You can't operate in your zone of genius if you're constantly distracted. You can't reach your full potential if you're emotionally drained. You can't create your masterpiece if you're spending all your creative energy wondering why he hasn't texted back. Think about all the incredible things that have been created in this world. The art, the inventions, the businesses, the movements, the discoveries. Do you think those things happened because someone was focused and committed? Or do you think they happened while someone was distracted, obsessing over a relationship that wasn't working? Focus is a superpower in today's world. Everyone is distracted. Everyone is scattered. Everyone is trying to multitask, and they're doing everything but excelling at nothing. But if you can learn to focus, If you can learn to direct your energy toward what truly matters, if you can learn to block out the noise and the drama and the distractions, you become unstoppable. And that's what happens when you stop giving him attention and give that energy to yourself. You become focused, you become clear, you become powerful. You become the person who's going places while everyone else is standing still. I want to share something vulnerable with you. There was a period in my life where I was completely lost. I had achieved certain external markers of success, but internally, I felt empty. I was in a relationship that was draining me, with someone who was critical, inconsistent, and emotionally unavailable. And I stayed because I thought maybe if I tried harder, if I was better, if I changed this or fixed that, it would work. I was performing in this relationship, constantly trying to be enough, to be what he wanted, to make him happy. And in the process, I lost myself. I stopped doing the things I loved. I stopped spending time with my friends. I stopped working on my goals. My entire sense of self-worth became tied to his approval, to his mood, to whether or not he was happy with me that day. And then something happened that changed everything. I was supposed to meet him for dinner, and he canceled at the last minute. Again, it was probably the 10th time that month, and I just broke. I sat in my car in the parking lot and I cried, not because he canceled, but because I realized what I had become. I realized that I had given this person so much power over my emotional state, over my happiness, over my life. I realized that I had stopped being the vibrant, ambitious, passionate person I once was, and had become this shell of a person, just waiting around for someone else to validate my existence. That night, I made a decision. I decided that I was done. Done trying to be enough for someone who would never think I was. Done waiting around for scraps of attention. Done putting my life on hold for someone who was living his life without a second thought about me. I decided that I was going to take all the energy I had been pouring into that black hole of a relationship and redirect it back to myself. The first few weeks were hard. I felt like I was going through withdrawal. I missed the familiarity, even though it was toxic. I missed having someone to text. Even though the texts were unfulfilling, I missed the hope that maybe it would get better, even though it never did. But I stayed committed. I made a list of all the things I had given up while I was in that relationship, and I started doing them again. I called my friends and reconnected. I joined a new gym. I enrolled in a course I'd been interested in. I started writing again, something I'd loved but had completely abandoned. And slowly, gradually, I started feeling like myself again. Actually better than myself. I started feeling like an upgraded version of myself because I was doing things I'd always wanted to do but had been too distracted to pursue. I was reading books that expanded my mind. I was having conversations that inspired me. I was challenging myself physically and mentally. I was growing in ways I hadn't grown in years. About 3 months into this journey, I ran into someone I hadn't seen in a while, and they said something that struck me. They said, "You look different. I don't know what it is, but something about you is completely different." And they were right. I did look different because I felt different. I had this energy, this glow, this confidence that I hadn't had in years. And it wasn't because I had found someone new. It was because I had found myself again. That's what I want for you. I want you to find yourself again, or maybe for the first time. I want you to discover what you're capable of when you're not pouring all your energy into someone who doesn't deserve it. I want you to experience the freedom that comes from not needing anyone's validation. I want you to feel the power that comes from choosing yourself every single day. Because here's what I've learned. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't give your best to the world if you've given everything to someone who's giving you nothing back. You can't shine your light if you're constantly dimming it for someone else. You have to fill your own cup first. You have to invest in yourself first. You have to choose yourself first, and then from that place of overflow, from that place of abundance, from that place of wholeness, you can create the life and the relationships you actually want. This isn't about being selfish. This is about having enough self-respect to prioritize your own well-being. This is about understanding that you can't be your best for anyone else if you're not your best for yourself. This is about recognizing that self-love isn't just a trendy hashtag, it's a revolutionary act of reclaiming your power. And let me tell you something. When you truly start investing in yourself, when you truly start choosing yourself, magical things happen. Opportunities start appearing. Doors start opening. The right people start showing up. Your whole life starts aligning in ways you couldn't have imagined. Not because you were lucky, but because you were focused. Because you were investing your energy in the right place. Because you were finally putting yourself first. You want to know the ultimate irony. The moment you stop needing someone's attention is often the moment they start giving it. But by then, you're so invested in your own growth, so committed to your own journey, so in love with the life you're building, that their attention doesn't even matter anymore. It's like that quote, "She needed a hero, so she became one." Stop waiting for someone to rescue you, to complete you, to choose you. Choose yourself. Rescue yourself. Complete yourself. Become your own hero. I challenge you today to make a commitment, a real, serious commitment to yourself. For the next 90 days, put yourself first. And I don't mean in a superficial way, I mean really invest in yourself. Invest in your physical health. Invest in your mental health. Invest in your education. Invest in your skills. Invest in your relationships with people who actually value you. Invest in your dreams. Invest in your peace. Invest in your joy. Invest in your future. 90 days, that's all I'm asking. 90 days of prioritizing yourself over people who don't prioritize you. 90 days of choosing your growth over temporary validation. 90 days of building instead of waiting. 90 days of creating instead of consuming. 90 days of being so busy becoming the person you're meant to be that you don't have time to worry about people who aren't worrying about you. And I can tell you right now with absolute certainty that if you commit to this, if you really commit, your life 90 days from now will be unrecognizable. You will look different, feel different, carry yourself differently. You'll have accomplished things you've been putting off for years. You'll have developed skills you've been talking about forever. You'll have a clarity about your purpose and your path that you've been missing. You'll have a confidence that comes from keeping promises to yourself and showing up for yourself every single day. And those 90 days will turn into 180 days, which will turn into a year, which will turn into a life you absolutely love. A life where you're the main character. A life where you're in control. A life where you're not waiting for someone else to give you permission to be great. You're just being great because that's who you've decided to be. This is your wake-up call. This is your moment. Stop giving him attention. Stop giving that situation attention. Stop giving those breadcrumbs attention. Stop giving your power away. Take it back. Take all of that energy, all of that focus, all of that love, all of that hope, all of that effort, and turn it inward. Give it to yourself. Invest it in yourself. Use it to build the life you've been dreaming about instead of wasting it on a relationship you've been settling for. You are capable of incredible things. You have gifts that the world needs. You have a purpose that's waiting to be fulfilled. You have dreams that are begging to be realized. But none of that can happen if you're distracted. None of that can happen if you're depleted. None of that can happen if you're giving your best energy to someone who's giving you their worst. It's time. It's time to choose yourself. It's time to bet on yourself. It's time to fall in love with yourself. It's time to give yourself the attention, the dedication, the commitment, the love that you've been so freely giving to everyone else. Because when you do, when you finally make yourself the priority, everything changes. Your whole world transforms. And you'll look back one day and wonder why you waited so long. You'll wonder why you ever thought someone else's attention was more valuable than your own peace. You'll wonder how you ever settled for so little when you deserved so much. Don't wait another day. Don't waste another moment. Your future self is counting on the decisions you make today. Make the decision to choose you. Make the decision to invest in you. Make the decision to prioritize you. Make the decision to love you. Make the decision to believe in you. Because I believe in you. I believe you're capable of extraordinary things. I believe you're stronger than you think. I believe you're more powerful than you realize. I believe you're worthy of everything you desire. Now it's time for you to believe it too. Stop giving him attention. Start giving that energy to yourself. Start today. Start right now. Start this very moment. Your incredible life is waiting. Your best self is waiting. Your dreams are waiting. Stop making them wait any longer. Stop making yourself wait any longer. Choose yourself. Choose your peace. Choose your growth. Choose your future. Choose yourself every single day, in every single moment for the rest of your life, because you are worth it. You have always been worth it. And it's time you started acting like it. The power is in your hands. The decision is yours. The moment is now. Stop giving him attention and give that energy to yourself. Watch how your life transforms. Watch how you transform. Watch how everything you've ever wanted starts flowing toward you because you finally created the space for it. Because you finally became the person who was ready for it. Because you finally chose yourself. This is your time. This is your moment. This is your life. Don't spend it waiting for someone else to see your value. See it yourself. Know it yourself. Embody it yourself. And watch how the world rises to meet you at that level. Watch how the right people, opportunities, and experiences start showing up because you've done the inner work. Because you've made yourself the priority. Because you finally understand that the greatest love story you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. So go. Go and be great. Go and build your empire. Go and chase your dreams. Go and become everything you're meant to be. Stop giving him attention. Give that energy to yourself. And watch your entire life change.